Welcome to Make Your Show the Creators.
This podcast is intended to inspire and educate storytellers on how to produce films and series that offer examples of their work.
I'm John Kramer.
And I'm Jason Chichi, and this is episode 3.
Our guest today is Tracey Wilson, my good friend and your classic multi-hyphenate. She's an actor, a host, a writer, a director, and even a photographer who did multiple tours with Lady Gaga. She put together an amazing book based on that experience called Heal This Way, a love story.
We talked to Tracey about her extensive background creating her own work, the benefits to actors of doing things other than just acting, and how she responded to the pandemic with her creativity.
Thank you so much for doing this. We're so excited to talk to you. I know you very well. We met when we were part of a group, which I don't even know if Jason and I talked about this, but we were part of a group of actors who wanted to make their own work. And it was like a support group for actors who wanted to make their own work.
Was it called something, or did you just meet up frequently?
We did kind of like a one-off create gym with this woman, Kristen Haney, who is a Broadway producer and a film producer, director. And she helps push people creatively when they need a little nudge.
And it was so great. It was just really, she was great, obviously.
Yep.
But she also facilitated all these meetings and community. People, hey, let's help each other out.
That's right.
Yeah.
It was really all about just supporting each other. So you may know, John and I became accountability partners. And it started off as, from this workshop, it was like, you deserve 15 minutes of work on your project, whatever that is. You can find 15 minutes. And her whole thing was, which I kind of loved, if you were having a love affair with somebody, you would find 15 minutes to sneak away with them. Right?
I forgot that. That's good.
That's the idea is, can you have a love affair with your art and with this project and this thing that you're trying to create? And so we were matched up with partners, these accountability partners, and it was, you were supposed to just text each other, I did my 15 minutes, or just check in. And then John and I were in a group of a few other people. They faded out immediately. And then we, as we now know about each other, we just took it next level. And for now, it started 2016, right?
Wow.
2016. So for a few years, when the time is right and when it's good for both of us, we have had these morning accountability meetings. We do a FaceTime. We say, what are your wins for yesterday? What are your action items for today? We have a Google Doc. I got to say, it's been terrific. And it's been terrific, I think, John, for you and I, the way even how we approach all of it has evolved. We bring each other like nuggets, like, I read this. Did you see this article? Did you know? And sometimes it's not necessarily exactly related to what we're doing, but bigger picture, how it relates to our lives, which relates to what we're doing.
Right.
Like sometimes, and we may talk about this kind of stuff on this, but like sometimes John will say, oh, I didn't really do anything today. I just spent the day playing with my kids all day. I'm like, okay, so you didn't, that's an amazing day. Like, that's an amazing day. And like, for both of us, for all of us, like reframing, I might say like, I don't know, all I did was like go for a bike ride and like read under a tree. I didn't really do anything. But artistically, like, that's how do we fill our soul?
How valuable
I'm
is
diving right in.
Yeah.
I love that. No, dive in and continue. I love that everything has value and brings something to the work we do.
That's right.
Well, it's very funny because every one of these conversations, every one of these conversations has touched on this idea in different ways. Mm-hmm. Now, Make Your Show started because there were actors that came to us and said, will you help us make something? Yeah. We want to further our acting career. Mm-hmm. Now, everybody that we've talked to, from people that are established creators like you who have made a lot of stuff, to people that haven't made as much stuff, but they're writing and that's their goal, or coming up with ideas, we always talk about, okay, so if this is your goal is to further your career as an actor.
Right.
But really, what's more important? Right. And it's funny because, the last time that you and I chatted, Tracey, I said, we have to have this on tape for our podcast because it's just so perfect. The stuff that you were talking about, which is what we're talking about now, ultimate purpose, really remembering that true north.
Yeah.
Why are we doing what we're doing?
And I think when you are in a pandemic and your industry shuts down, all the work you do is gone, all your gigs have been canceled, your shoots are over, then you sit alone in New York City, alone in your apartment, and you think, what do I want with my life? What is the point? What am I doing? And I think that's what everyone, most people are going through right now. And I think particularly artists, especially, it's like, what is my point? And so this idea that what you guys are doing, this Make Your Show, right? It's all about how do we make our own content? How do we create? Like, how do we move ourselves further? And then it's like, why? Why do we?
Right.
Why? And so I think I spent a lot of time this whole time, but especially the very beginning of the pandemic saying, do I do work because somebody hires me? Or do I do this because this is what I want to do? And why do I want to do it? And is it about me expressing my just creativity and my thought process and my heart as a human? And this is what John and I were talking about the other day. I have found, now let me say, this is all paradoxical living. This is all literally the worst time and also this very interesting, best artistic time at the same time. And a side note that I have to say, because I just need to say this, the most important thing I learned in therapy, which I am a big fan of, is that I can have two feelings at the same time that can conflict and neither has to win. I can say this is the worst time ever and this is the best time ever at the same time, and both can be right. And so I have tried to really embrace as well the good time of this, because I can look at this as, wow, I still keep a paper calendar, right? I keep a paper calendar. I've had them for years in their diaries. I put stickers and notes. I've been doing this for years and years. So I can look at this calendar and say, oh my God, there is nothing but white pages and white page blank, 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 blank for months to come, when it used to be just filled. I literally had the best year ever coming up. Or I can look at it and say, wow, look at this gigantic opportunity. Look at this space to say, who am I? What do I want? What do I do? How do I express myself? Now, listen, it's not easy. No jobs, no thing. Like I'm not downplaying how difficult it all is. And I'm also not saying that every minute it's roses.
Yeah.
But it's like, it is a very interesting and unique time to say, why do I do these things? And for me, I have realized, okay, I have an iPhone and a green screen and I'm going to go to town. And I have been creating stuff that I wouldn't say exactly this is what I've been wanting to do. I never had like make pandemic content on my bucket list, make sketches about the pandemic. However, a lot of my early days were all in sketch and improv, and I did tons of sketch and improv. And for a while, I was a sketch comedian on David Letterman. I did tons of work there. And, but that was a little bit ago. So now to say to an agent or casting director, oh yeah, like my whole background is sketch. And they're like, well, can you show us stuff? And I'm like, well, it's all old. You know what I mean? I don't have anything current and modern or stuff I can show you. I had on my website, for a while, I had a sort of like in the beginning or classic Tracey or something that was like, I'm acknowledging this isn't today, but I'm acknowledging that it's my history, my background. But suddenly now, holy crap, I have so much stuff. I did a piece that I call How to Win Pandemic Squares. And I did like a Hollywood Squares with a—
I just watched it this morning.
Oh, you did?
I loved it.
You.
I was thinking to myself, how the hell did she do this all by herself? What?
I mean, I learned a lot, and I've been learning a lot along the way. And each one of these things has not been super easy. It's like, how do I do this? How do I use the green screen? How do I, it's just been figuring it out and learning and. But,
is that literally how you do it? You just went online and asked, and that's how you discovered how to do things?
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
I mean, listen, YouTube is the best resource ever. There are thousands of videos, tricks to make a green screen, how to do this, how to light that, especially when you're talking about technical stuff. How do I edit this? I mean, there are a million people who want to show you what they know, and it is free, And so it is a great, great resource. But what I was going to say about that sketch is now I can send this one sketch to anyone and say like, oh, look at the 11 characters that I just played in the sketch that I made during a pandemic. Which also, it's tricky because, and I say this very cautiously, because everyone is different and everybody copes with these things differently. And not everybody has the brain power or the heart or the emotional capacity to be like, I'm just going to create stuff today. It's not easy. So everybody really needs to do their best to get through this crazy time.
Sure.
But what I learned for myself is this is where my joy is. And when I am struggling, I actually have to put on a costume and a wig and dance around because it is my self-care, for real. Like what I learned about myself is I don't do this because, I need to be famous or, sure, all those things, excellent, great. But because this is how I function as a human. Using my energy to connect with other people is how I function. So over these past few months, when I am not creating something is when I start to feel dark. It's my own self-care to do all this. And I'll make it and I'll kind of work out my feelings in costumes and props and I'll share that with you. And if you like it, awesome. If you don't, that is okay. I am kind of creating my way through this pandemic because it's the only thing I know how to do.
Yeah,
the
that's
best
amazing.
way that I know how to do it.
Yeah. Well, can we just back it up? Because obviously you've been creating stuff longer than the pandemic has been around.
Sure.
So when you first started creating your own work, can you tell us about what that looked like and what your purpose was in creating that work at the beginning? Do you remember that?
Yeah. I mean, probably like you're saying, I think in the beginning, it's all about I need to be seen, right? I need more people to see me, and also valid because we're artists and we want to get paid. So people have to see what we do. That is part of our marketing. That is part of what we do. And I think it's evolved for me a lot over the years, what I create and why, and what I want to show or how I want to connect. In the beginning, honestly, we've talked about this. Some of the things that I did in the beginning, I actually did a lot of those 48-hour film projects. Right. And so that's not exactly me creating alone, but it is these explosive weekends of creativity. And they are I recommend them for everyone because you learn a ton creatively. You learn so much. Honestly, that's also how I learned to direct film because it is a short amount of time. The stakes are low. You can make mistakes and you can just go for it. You can just go for it and learn and figure stuff out and be with a bunch of collaborative people. But in those 48-hour film projects, everybody probably knows how they go. You're given a line of dialogue, a character, a prop, and then a genre, and then you have to go make this film and you have 48 hours to do it. And usually it's a 5 to 6 minute film, 5 to 7 minute film. And so what happens in those is if you really turn your A game on, you can say, okay, how do I make the biggest, boldest choices in the shortest amount of time possible? And I think as artists, and for me, I won't lie, this time frame can be really freeing in a way. And these boundaries can actually be, okay, so I have to do it in this time. I have to do it with these things, go. Because for me, when I did a lot of sketch comedy, so I was in this group called Living Room Live for a long time, and it was great. We did live shows every Tuesday night, and it was like Saturday Night Live, except it was live. Every week we wrote and produced a new show. We were all the writers. You'd hand out the scripts, whatever. Now, for me, what's interesting is if you said to me, Tracey, go write a sketch for next week, that is paralyzing to me, to be honest with you. It's about what? What do I write it about? There's
too much.
It's too much. But when you say, write a sketch about this, I'm in. And so that's another weird thing for me during this pandemic, actually, is to say, right, we're all experiencing the same thing together, though in different ways and in different experiences. We're all in this pandemic together. So it's easier for me to say, I'm going to make content that addresses where we are right now, because it's a thing that's happening right now. And every now and then I say, oh, Tracey, no, make something that's evergreen, make something that's outside of this pandemic still will be interesting or still. And then also, to be honest, I'm like, no, don't. Make what you feel like making right now, because these videos are also almost like my diary through this time and my thoughts through this time. And even though I'm using them, a lot of them are comedic, they sort of have a sort of serious tone to them about like, stay home, or like, do your fast, or like, come on, people, like, hang in there. I didn't exactly answer all the question, but making your own stuff, I think we know the power that we have as actors. We know this. We know that we spend a lot of time sitting around waiting for people to hire us because they have the power, because they have the job, the character, the show, the set, the script. They have the stuff. And we wait to hopefully get in one of these things. But then this magic happens, make your show happens. Guys like you come along and say, hey, stop waiting for somebody else. Like, do what you want to do. And yes, do it because you want to show people, but also do it because you want it for you, because you want to have made a show. You want to say, like, this is my thought process. This is who I am. This is what I'm about. This is what I do. This is my drama or my humor. I think what you guys are doing is really, really exciting, because not everybody has the skill set. And that's not a dig. It's just that not everybody knows how to edit and shoot. That's, being a good actor is a huge skill set already in itself, right? And we spend a lot of time working on being good at that craft. So having something like Make Your Show, I think, is fantastic, where you can plug in with people and say, we know that you want to do this, and let us help you express yourself and your art. I think is kind of amazing, and I'm so glad you're doing it.
It feels that way. It does feel that way. Given, it's given so much to John and myself in our mission and our lives.
Right.
So to be able to like collaborate, which making films and whatever is the ultimate in collaboration.
For sure.
It really feels like it's really on task about that. So we're happy that that mission we get to share with people.
Yeah. It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's really exciting.
So I guess my next question would be, if, you've had all this, wide variety of experiences in creating work, from the 48-hour film festival to sketch, which a lot of people don't have that kind of experience in wearing all those different hats.
Right.
And like you said, I mean, some people don't want to.
Right.
That's fine. Some people are going to struggle more. So, some people are better at certain things than others. That's just a reality of life.
Yeah.
And what would you say then were the benefits of having done all the different types of stuff that you did? Again, if your primary goal is to be an actor, what's the benefit of writing? What's the benefit of also directing? What's the benefit of learning how to do green screen and shoot?
Yeah.
Why do that? Do you have an answer?
Of course I have. I have many answers. There are so many benefits. I believe that everything that you do outside of acting as an actor makes you a better actor, because you understand it from all the sides. And it only also increases your confidence level to be able to go in and say, oh, I got this, or I know what we're writing about, or to speak the language of a writer, or to understand it from the director's side. I did a thing a little while ago, a couple years ago. So I also have done a lot of photography. And John knows this, but I toured with Lady Gaga as a performance.
I saw that. That's incredible.
Yeah, super cool. And I did these like performance art. Like I had short platinum hair, and I was this like rock and roll tour photographer. And the idea was to give her fans the experience of having their picture taken for the cover of Rolling Stone prior to a show. Really, that's what was on paper. Really, my job was to make people feel amazing and beautiful. And it made me cry all the time. I could talk for days about that. But what happened at that time, I had thought I had booked a big film. The big film fell through. I didn't have a job. I was doing a lot of photography. This opportunity came up for another podcast, but that opportunity came up to tour with Lady Gaga. Now, to be fully transparent, I was like, oh no, people aren't going to think I'm an actor anymore. Like, what's going to happen when people think I'm only now a photographer? And even though it's this performance art thing, it's like not really film or television or stage. It's this like weird hybrid thing. And, oh, what's going to happen? And then magic happened. And then I got out of my own way. And then I said, Tracey, you are allowed to express yourself artistically in more than one way. And you can do all the things, and you can be an actor and be that. you are also allowed to be a photographer. You can be a filmmaker. You can write, you can direct, you can do whatever you want. And I think what is for me very helpful is I am an actor. I'm also a writer and a comedian and a filmmaker and a photographer and all these things. And I started calling myself an artist. And here are the ways I express myself: through my acting, through this, through that, through whatever. And something different and magical happened when I started doing that. And it didn't feel to me like, I want to be an actor, me crying like, I want to be an actor, because I think we all go through that, right? It became much bigger than that. And it didn't feel like I'm an actor in the way that people talk down to us sometimes about being an actor. I was like, I am an artist. Here are the ways I express myself. And it felt huge. It felt
That's so funny. That same thing happened to me years ago when I started saying, I'm an artist. I'm not just waiting. I'm not just subscribing to this one path. And then my acting path changed into a writing path. And I had to tell myself the same thing. That's okay.
Yeah.
You're still creative.
That's right. And you're allowed to do all the things. And then I actually booked the lead in a film right after that. That was a film I should have written for myself. It's called True's Calling. And it was about my big energy. And I got to play this big weird energy that I hadn't gotten to play yet. Because I think what happened for me is a lot of times I would audition for things or meet agents and casting directors and like, I like to be big and loud and I like to whatever. And I think a lot of the auditions after a while and some of the roles that I were playing, it was always like, just be less, be quieter, be whatever. And I didn't really want to be less. I wanted to be this, but just more. I wanted to use my energy on screen in a specific way. And that's been exciting. But I think there's something about when you call yourself an artist, even if the only thing that you want to do is be an actor, which is awesome. But I think an actor is an artist who creates. And so, in looking at it as a creator, I think there's something about that that's very helpful and freeing, because I think sometimes we can get wrapped up in the word actor means waiting for somebody to hire us, cast me, waiting for you to cast me, and don't wait. We hear this all the time, everywhere. Every casting director, every agent, every producer says, create your own stuff, make your own stuff, go make your own stuff. Do it. Because like I said, listen, there's a lot of stuff that I have been hired to do that I want to do when this is over with. But creating my own stuff right now has gotten me really in touch with, this is what I like to do. I like to be an actor. I like to create these roles for myself to play. That's why when you read, oh gosh, there's so many actors I could go on and on. Men, I think, are better at it than women, to be honest, about writing shows for themselves, about writing themselves their own scripts, like Sling Blade and on and whatever, where you're like, I toiled, I'm going to write myself something to do, But I think we're catching on. It's like create stuff for yourself. Yes. And then, yes, let people see it. Let people then say like, oh, now I know what to do with Tracey. Now we see where this weird energy goes. Now we see the type of stuff that you do. Oh, I get it.
Are you working on something more long form now? Or you are just concentrating on these pandemic films that you're making?
Good question. I am actually. And what's interesting is I keep saying every one of these like pandemic films, I'm like, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to go. And then I will sort of get some inspiration to make another one. And then I don't have a huge following, but I have a hearty following. And when I post a new thing that sort of feels like the collective energy of maybe my Facebook group might be feeling, I have a lot of teacher friends, and I kind of make something that I think might cheer them up a little bit. And they're always really grateful for it. So I'm happy to be doing that.
That must feel really powerful.
It does feel really good. It does. Yeah. And then the other day I had somebody saw it who was not a friend and not whatever. And they wrote a comment that was basically like, your poem is dumb. It kind of entertained me a little bit. They're like, I hate poetry. I'm like, cool. Like, that's okay. I don't really care. Not for you. You know what I mean? That's not for you. So what I'm working on is I'm actually working on a big documentary project.
Oh.
Yes. And this is how John and I met, when this was the project that I brought to this Create Gym. So I started making a video journal prior to YouTube, prior to vlogging in 2005, actually 15 years ago. I had a meltdown as an actor. I had a tiny little cam, little handy cam. And I cried onto a tape about being frustrated being an actor, right? Yeah. Then I decided, okay, I made a deal. Well, okay, all right. Full transparency, because I'm an actor, after I cried on this tape for 20 minutes, I sat there and I let the cry, wash through me, and I was done. And then I went, oh, I should watch what it looks like when I cry. I was like, I should does the feeling match what it looks like? Because, I had to analyze how I cry. And so I made a deal with myself then that I would video journal, I guess document, but I called it video journal, what it is like to be an actor and to want these things and to want a career and a family and to want all of them and the struggle and the sacrifice and the wins and blah, blah, blah. So I've been doing it for 15 years. Wow. I know. So now I'm at the point where I'm actually compiling and starting to pitch the actual documentary project. And it's really exciting. I won't lie. It's super exciting. And so when the pandemic hit and I look at my big empty schedule, part of me was like, oh, well, this is great because now I can work on the documentary. But making the content that I'm making now is part of the documentary. It's super meta.
Right.
And I know this is what John and I want to talk about also. The beginning of the documentary, it's 15 years ago. I'm a much younger actress, obviously. And I'm just crying all the time about I don't have an agent. And I don't this and I don't that. And I want this and blah, blah, blah. But really, when I watch back, it's a little sad, right? Because when I watch back, I see somebody so hungry for validation. It's not that I want an agent, it's that I want to be validated. That is what I'm asking for. That is what I'm screaming about. And what's exciting to me today is now I've had some small agents come and go but I don't have huge representation right now. I'm working on it. That's fine. However, I don't feel that I need them for validation. I need them for opportunity, right? I need them to open doors and to get auditions and blah, blah, blah. But I don't need an agent to validate me. And that is very different. And that feels really different. And that's something that happened during this pandemic time and during me creating all of this stuff is that I was like, I like what I do. I like who I am. I like the stuff I'm putting out. This is amazing. And of course I would I can't wait till this is a series. I can't wait till my documentary's done. I can't wait. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I am an artist and an actor that is creating stuff that is making people think and feel. The end.
That's your job, right?
That's my job. And it feels incredible.
That's that higher purpose. It
feels higher purpose,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? It feels much more purposeful. I don't even know when this happened. A few years ago also, where my thought process wasn't about, I hope you hire me. But my thought process is about I hope I get to help use my talents to help tell the story. And literally it was much more spiritual and everyone's got different takes on spirituality and religion and whatever, however you want to say it, but using our art to be of service to the project and to help someone else and it's not about me,
I think that's a lesson that's hard learned by a lot of actors because it by nature is a very egotistical job that you're going for every day. But once you start servicing a greater thing, namely the story, then your point of view, your perspective on what you're trying to accomplish has changed.
It really does. It really does. I think this even goes to, when you're auditioning for a smaller role on a big TV show, right? It's it really isn't about you. You're there to serve the story. And then it becomes more spiritual differently when you're how do I use my art big picture? I mean, I know it sounds cheesy. My last video was about being cheesy, but it's about how do I, in this pandemic, use my energy and my art to serve a greater good? It's like I'm not a parent. I see my parent friends struggling with school and their children. I see my teacher friends struggling with, like, I don't know how to teach and Zoom and Google Classroom and all these things. And I see everybody really, really struggling. Now I have different struggles because I don't have jobs. I don't, it's a pandemic and it's challenging and I miss my family. And, it's like, how do I use what I can do? How to use my skill set to help in this way? Just a quick story about this because I think I know a lot of actors who can feel like, oh, what I do is dumb. Like this is a pandemic and like I can't help and I'm not a medical expert and I'm not. So right after I was living in New York, I had just moved to New York near 9/11, right? And so I'm living in New York during 9/11. And this is about the time I'm crying, like I don't have an agent and blah, 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 right? All this era. And I remember when everything happened, just being really upset about how dumb my life was and how purposeless I was. And really, really thinking, now I've been wanting to be an actor since I was 9 because I just like to play and pretend, right? I never wanted to do anything different than play and pretend and just have fun. Like I had, I remember really thinking, I can't go back to be a nurse. I'm not a firefighter. Like I don't have that skill set. I don't have that makeup in me. I don't know how to do those things. Blood makes me need, I can't do that. And then I saw a firefighter on an interview on TV say, all I want to do is take my son to a movie. I want to go home and take my son to a movie. And then I was like, oh my God, I get it. I can do that. I will make that movie that you can, I get it. Let me make that movie so that you can take a rest and have an experience with your son and then go back and you can be good at your job. So let me be good at my job to help you be good at your job and on and on. And so I would call the pandemic probably the next big thing that was a global effective, since then, right? In this way that where everybody in New York City is experiencing thing together, the country, the world, we're all experiencing this pandemic together. So in this time, instead of me being like, I'm dumb, like, what do I do? I'm not a first responder. Like, I'm like, oh, I can make you videos. Like, I know what I can do. And it sounds very silly, but it has made me feel so much more purposeful to make videos that maybe my teacher friends are really happy to get, or that maybe some other people that are like, oh my God, thank you. We look so forward to your videos for like a minute. They make us feel amazing. I'm like, great. If I can make you feel amazing for a minute with me being silly and me doing my weird stuff, great. So,
well, Tracey, that was really amazing. And I'm glad that we got to hear you share some of those insights with.
I think it was mostly important that you to share that what artists do have meaning. It has meaning.
Absolutely.
And it's not just about, I want to get an agent or I get this job on Law and Order. It's bigger than that.
It's bigger than that. And like I said earlier, we can want both. It's okay to want both, and we should want both. It's okay to say, I'm making these really fun things in my living room. I'm glad teachers like it. And also, I can't wait for a casting director to see it because I know they're going to like it.
Yeah.
It's okay to have both. Right?
Yep.
It's okay to have both.
Yeah.
I'm grateful to get to chat with you guys. And I think what you're doing is really exciting. And I think a lot of people are going to benefit from it. So I can't wait to see the rest of the shows you make.
Well, we hope so. And right now, hopefully, as opposed to, making shows for other people, we'll be helping other people make their own shows and they'll realize and understand the importance of trying to do that.
Right. That's right. Yeah. And everything that we do isn't always magic, but it gets us to the next thing and the next thing. And that's where we learn and grow and continue to expand as artists. And we just have to keep saying, why am I doing this? Oh, I get this. Oh, and John, as we know, celebrate the wins. Celebrate the wins the whole way.
That's right. Well, thanks again for talking to us, Tracey. It was great.
Thank you guys so much.
Keep making stuff. Keep making stuff.
Yeah.
I will. Promise. Thank you.
Thanks again.
Bye. Bye.
I love this idea of the mindset shift for all of us and just thinking in general, how can I help other people? How can I be of value?
Yes, and not looking to others for validation. And again, we heard about thinking of ourselves as more than just actors, thinking of ourselves as artists.
That's right. Well, you can find out more about Tracey by going to her website at tracybwilson.com. And you can find out more about Make Your Show by going to our website, makeyourshow.tv. We'll have tons of links to a lot of the stuff that we talked about here today.
Thanks so much for joining us, and keep a lookout for more episodes just like this one.